All right, let's jump right in. We're about to connect two things that you'd probably never think belong in the same sentence: the very first flight in human history, and why modern AI systems might be completely ignoring you right now. It's a wild connection, and it all boils down to one single powerful idea. You didn't fly if no one can prove you did. Just think about that for a second. This isn't just some old quote about history. It's a fundamental truth about how trust and visibility get built, whether you're talking about people or machines. And really, that is the heart of what we're talking about today. That one sentence is the key. It's why we all know the names Orville and Wilbur Wright, while their rivals are basically footnotes in a history book. And what's so incredible is that the very same logic is deciding right now whether AI sees you as an expert or if it sees you at all. So to really get this, we've got to jump in the time machine for a minute. Let's set the scene for one of the biggest moments in the history of invention. A moment that was absolutely crowded with claims, but was ultimately won by proof. So picture this. It's December 17th, 1903. You're on a cold, windswept beach in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, and these two bicycle mechanics from Ohio, Orville and Wilbur Wright, are getting this kind of fragile-looking machine made of wood and fabric ready. Then, at 10:35 a.m., it happens. The Wright Flyer lifts off the ground. Now, it only flew for 12 seconds. It went just 120 feet, but that was it. That was the first powered, controlled flight in human history. So here's the crazy part. Why was this world-changing event almost completely lost to history? I mean, that sounds impossible, right? But the truth is, the flight itself just wasn't enough. Because dozens of other inventors were making claims. You had Samuel Langley, who had huge government funding. You had Gustave Whitehead, who had a few newspaper articles. Alberto Santos-Dumont was doing these big public demonstrations over in Paris. See, they all had stories. But now look at what the Wright brothers brought to the table. Not a story. They had structured, verifiable proof. A photograph of the plane in the air. 5 official witnesses with names. They had detailed flight logs, engineering notebooks, patent applications. They even sent telegrams right after they landed. They didn't just fly, they proved they flew. And this right here, this is the central lesson of their entire story. It's a principle that is, believe it or not, even more important today than it was over 100 years ago. This is it. This is the whole thing. Discovery without documentation is just a rumor. But documentation? That's trust. The Wright brothers' competitors? They made claims. The Wrights? They built a case file. They created a body of evidence that could be checked, cited, and trusted by anyone who came after them, whether that was a historian, the patent office, or an encyclopedia. Okay, so let's fast forward from 1903 all the way to right now, because the exact same logic the Wright brothers used to prove they flew is what artificial intelligence uses to decide who it should trust and who it should feature online. If you remember one thing from this whole explainer, let it be this. AI systems, like ChatGPT, Gemini, all of them, they are not believers. They don't care about your brand's amazing story. They are verifiers. They are looking for cold, hard proof. And that proof is what we call machine trust. It's basically a score, a level of reliability that an AI gives to you or your business. And it's based on all these structured proof signals, things like consistent documentation and authoritative citations that show up again and again. Think of it like a background check. The more consistent and verifiable your story is everywhere, the more an AI can confidently trust you and recommend you. So why are so many businesses basically invisible to AI? Well, it's because they're playing the wrong game. We're all focused on storytelling when we should be focused on proof. We're optimizing for creative marketing campaigns instead of for verification. Most of us just don't have the structured documentation, things like schema, clear definitions, published frameworks, that an AI can actually read and understand. And all of that creates these little trust gaps. And those gaps are what makes you invisible. But the good news is, this is totally fixable. You can actually intentionally build this machine trust. And there's a really clear, structured way to do it. It all boils down to these 3 layers. Super simple. Think of it like you're building a pyramid. Your foundation, the base layer, is documentation. Then you build authority on top of that. And the final piece, the capstone that holds it all together, is coherence. So layer 1 is documentation. This is the bedrock. It's the verifiable truth about who you are and what you do, but structured in a way that a machine can actually understand it. So this means creating really clear definitions for your key terms, giving a name to your unique methodologies, publishing case studies, all things an AI can point to as evidence. But, proof by itself can just be, well, noise. You have to turn it into a trusted signal, and that is layer 2, authority. It's not enough to just have documentation. You've got to publish it under a consistent name, get cited by other trusted sources, and build clear profiles not just for your ideas, but for the people and the company behind them. This is how the AI knows who is making the claim. And finally, layer 3 is coherence. This is so critical because all that authority you just built can be totally destroyed by confusion. Coherence means you use the exact same terminology, the same definitions, everywhere. On your website, on your LinkedIn, on your YouTube videos, everywhere. When an AI sees that kind of consistency, its memory of you gets locked in, and it starts to trust you as a clear, reliable source. Okay, so how do you actually do this? Let's break it all down into a super simple 4-step action plan you can use to start building your proof and become way more visible to AI. Step 1, document. Build those foundational assets, like a glossary on your site that defines your key terms. Step 2, establish authority. Make sure every article you publish is clearly tied to a specific person or your organization. Step 3, create coherence. Seriously, if you call something your synergy framework on your website, you have to call it the exact same thing on LinkedIn. No exceptions. And finally, step 4, build verification loops. This just means linking your own content back to your foundational definitions, creating this web of proof that an AI simply can't ignore. So, it all comes back to that lesson from a windy beach back in 1903. Just like it was for the Wright brothers, it's not enough to just invent something amazing or be the best at what you do. You have to be able to prove it. Which really just leaves one last question for you. You've spent all this time building your business, but have you built your proof?